This month, Streaming Things is brought to you by Chester Copperpot, Rabid Dog in a Barbie Car, Jose Ruben Cruz Rodriguez, Thomas Alexander, Emmy, Valerie, Stanton Valentino, Aaron Layton, Crystal Trujillo, John Collins,
Ghost,
Andrew Gray, Jen Robinson, Kate, Chloe Richardson, Kalisha Reeves, Kiki Newton, Kevin Strother, Jeanette Murphy, Casey McCain, and Enza.
welcome back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, continuing our coverage of The Last of Us on HBO Max. And we just finished watching episode 4. And I just want to be clear, a long-time listeners know this, but just so everybody else that's hopping on, we don't watch the talks with Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin after the episode or the next on trailer. We don't listen to the HBO official podcast. I think it's complete and utter bullshit that those exist. Like, you won't let me work on the show. You won't let me act in it. Now you're going to take my podcast.
I didn't know that there were talks with Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin after the show.
I just assume that there are. Every HBO thing does that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start watching.
Sounds awesome.
Definitely not before we record that, right? Like that's our thing. So everything you hear might be a little off, a little wrong or whatever. That's because it's just our dumb brains right after watching the show. That's what this podcast is.
I think the podcast is more enjoyable hearing our raw, unfiltered thoughts, as wrong as they might be.
And wriggling.
Yeah, I love wriggling thoughts.
That's our new, we're going to start a new podcast.
Wriggling thoughts.
Wriggling thoughts. So yeah, that's what we did. We just finished watching a few minutes ago. And when do you want to do the cookies?
Yeah, let's get this out of the way.
We got a special surprise for you.
Ooh, okay. So a couple weeks ago, if you listen to the very first episode of our Last of Us coverage, there was a little bit of a, I didn't intend this to be as big of a deal as it has become. I said something along the lines of, because Sarah and what were the neighbors? The Adlers.
Yes.
They were making cookies and she was making oatmeal raisin cookies. And I made the joke like, not chocolate chip. Because my point was, if there are two cookies on the table, one a chocolate chip, one an oatmeal raisin, I'm picking the chocolate chip every time. I don't hate oatmeal raisins.
Sure.
But a lot of people took it as though I did.
Yes.
And so we are going to settle this debate once and for all because a really awesome listener of the show made us cookies. They made us chocolate chip cookies and oatmeal raisin cookies. And we're going to test them out here on the mic so you guys can really we can figure it out.
I hope you guys are into ASMR.
Oh yeah, baby.
Chris, do you want a half of my chocolate chip?
No.
Okay.
Because that's how
Are we doing the chocolate chip first?
steadfast I am. Yeah, I'll take a piece of your chocolate
So
chip.
we need a control. The chocolate chip is the control.
I already ate multiple. I already ate multiple of both. And
I did not sully my taste buds before. I was like, the people need to know my honest, genuine reaction.
I've already decided. This is the chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip. Here we go.
Cookie.
There's a good cookie.
Pretty good.
Right?
Very good. Very well made.
I brought milk.
Good crunch.
Now, this isn't the perfect test, right? Because the quality of the chocolate varies, all kinds of stuff, right?
Sure.
These may not be Ghirardelli chips.
But this is more of like, hey, there are two cookies here, a chocolate chip and an oatmeal. Which one are you grabbing?
Which one survives? Okay, so we did the chocolate chip. Pretty good. Now we're doing the oatmeal raisin.
Palate cleanser. Hold on.
Oh, cleanse that palate. Cleanse that palate. You doing a water?
Water. I don't think that's how it works.
Steve, you didn't offer us milk. You just got yourself.
He did.
I'm so dry.
That's what she
I'm
said.
just sour over here, my dude.
Do you want some of my milk?
No, I also have water.
Suckle on the glass of my milk.
Nothing
lactose
better than
intolerant.
cookies and water. Is everybody the true test?
Well, it was better than doing the cookies and Mountain Dew pitch black. So
That's true. All right. Oatmeal,
Oatmeal
Steve.
raisin. Here we
Blow
go.
your mind.
Here we
Already
go.
had a bite.
It's so much better.
It is.
It's got that flavor mixed in with the actual cookie part. Like you don't just get that pop of chocolate. You know, it's like it's the flavor is laced throughout.
That is a fire ass oatmeal cookie.
All right, you know
Literally,
what?
you're going to pass out any moment.
You know what? There has been a long-standing hashtag on the show called hashtag Steve was right. and I stand by that hashtag, but not in this instance.
Yes.
This is the oatmeal raisin cookie wins in this instance.
Wow. The better cookie.
This is out of these two cookies, this oatmeal raisin is a damn fine cookie.
I didn't expect you to do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like to be honest. I was
welcome.
Hashtag Steve was kind of right.
Hashtag Steve was wrong.
From a certain point of view, Steve was still kind of right. Put that in a hashtag.
Steve.
We didn't just get the cookies. We also got a fire ass cake.
Yeah, I'm gonna so YouTube viewers, I'm gonna put up an image of this cake that we got from the same listener. So you can look at it right now. Let's describe it for the audio people. Audio people, you can go to our social medias and you can see photos of this.
It's a beautiful cordyceps cake is the best way to describe it. I mean, there's a white chocolate skull in the center and there's dried mango and pineapple,
like dried pineapple and dehydrated pineapple
to make it look like like fungus coming out of this white chocolate skull.
Green coconut.
Yeah, it's a coconut cake. It's so good.
I had 2 slices of it.
You had 2 whole slices?
Yes. So I had 3 oatmeal raisin cookies, 1 chocolate chip cookie, and 2 slices of this cake.
Damn.
I had one itty bitty slice of it. I'm not a big cake guy, but I had to try it because it looked so good.
I love eating cake.
Okay, you're not the cake guy.
Yes.
How do you rate this?
But that was a 10 out of 10 cake. It was delicious. I love coconut.
I am the Marie Antoinette of snackers.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah, I want everybody to eat my cake.
Let me eat cake.
I want everybody to eat my cake. You know what I'm saying?
So thank you to the listener
My ass.
that provided that. That was really, really delicious. Thank you. And I'm going to roll right through that ass.
Yes, you are. You naughty dog.
Oh, you
That
scoundrel.
was a themed joke. Naughty dog.
Yep.
I just want to call attention to it in case you didn't get it.
That's a pill, baby.
Baby.
Speaking of which.
Thank you for the cookies.
Speaking of which.
There was pills in these cookies.
You all should be falling asleep any moment now. No, we have a new merchandise store. We have a new merch store. Our merch store from before was kind of bare bones and lame, but guys, there's a really awesome group of listeners who have their own t-shirt printing operation, and they approached us about making our own
A partnership.
merch store, having a partnership. And one of the cool things, if you go onto the website that you can find in the show notes, not only will you see a whole bevy of new merchandise options for you to choose from,
Myriad.
you can even find a limited time run of the shirt for Last of Us, which is Pills, baby!
It's a custom design of Joel and Ellie shouting "Pills, baby!" It's glorious, and in this way you can support the show. You can also support the listeners and support small businesses in a trifecta of wonder. But also, it's more of a quadrilogy or what a quad something
Quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy.
because you can support yourself by getting some dope ass gear. They still call it gear.
Fuck yeah.
Sure.
Threads.
Drip.
Yes.
Get some drip.
I actually already ordered that shirt, the Pills Baby shirt,
Did you?
and I also ordered a beanie. I am very excited.
and now pour.
The beanie from the last merch store
That was
It's terrible.
something
It was
else.
awful. I think that kind of sealed the deal for us jumping off that.
It was kind of a bit though. Like,
It literally looked like they cut off like a long sleeve of an actual shirt and they're like, it's a beanie. You put the sleeve on your head.
I did eventually throw it away. Like I kept it for a while, and I was like, it's kind of funny. And then I was just like, why do I still have this?
damn, you threw it away all the way.
Yeah, it's gone.
Could have been like a sock or something.
Little joke gift.
Yeah.
Little wash rag.
Yeah, so thank you to West River Printing for reaching out and becoming our new merch partner. Go get yourselves a really awesome t-shirt. And the Pills Baby shirt will run out when we get done covering Last of Us, so it's very limited. This allows us to have custom shirts for the shows we're covering, which will be fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna finish eating this oatmeal raisin.
Okay, fair.
It's just like my victory dance. I'm thinking about all you assholes in the Discord who were shitting all over raisins in my face. Now I've recruited Steve. I've turned him with my oatmeal cordyceps, and he's now with us. And we're going to get you.
It's not The Last of Us anymore. Steve is a part of us.
One of us. That's what it should be called.
One of us.
One of us. Gooble gobble, gooble gobble.
Anywhoozle. Thank you to all of your iTunes and Spotify reviews requesting that I stop saying anyhoozle. It has only
Reinforced it.
reinforced.
We've only doubled down and made it a shirt.
Go to the store and get the shirt.
That's right. There's an anyhoozle shirt now. True fans love it.
Yeah. Sorry. Any Hoozles isn't going anywhere. Sorry to let you guys know.
Anywho, as I said, we're covering The Last of Us episode 4. We just finished watching it. Kind of a shorter episode than what we've been used to.
Shortest one so far.
It was a boon in one way because it's been a long day. It's like our 3rd episode today. But at the same time, it's always sad to see this show end. It's very, very good. But there's and also another sad thing, we seem to have been wrong. There does not appear to be a flashback. Correct. At the start of every episode.
I was sad about that.
Last episode, we made an excuse because the whole episode was a flashback. But episode 4 confirms not a pattern, just a random happenstance. I don't think it's going to be the last flashback we get. We saw some in the trailers, but
yeah,
it's not the last of those.
There's at least definitely one more flashback that I know for sure coming.
Yeah, yes. It's what they call faux show back in the day.
For
I don't know if they still say that.
For showbacks.
Yes, that is the industry term. So the episode opens with Ellie. Well, actually, let's do this real quick. We always do. What did you guys think of episode 4 real quick? Steve?
I really, really liked it. This is probably my second favorite episode so far. I thought the flow of it was really, it was well paced. It went by super quickly. They really got into the relationship of Ellie and Joel is starting to blossom and become, it's becoming what we all know and love as someone who's played the games. It also has diverged from the games even more so. In a very interesting way that I kind of like and I'm super appreciating. And I can't wait to see where this new kind of wrinkle in the storyline goes. This is the thing where I have no clue where this is going to go. Because last episode with Bill and Frank, it was different. But at the same time, like I knew that's not going to go anywhere.
It ended in the same place.
It ends in the same place.
Yeah.
This, I don't know where this is going to go quite. And I'm interested to see where it ends up. But I love this episode. Andy, what about you?
Yeah, I loved it too, and for the same reasons. We kind of have reached like the promise of the premise that is like these two scallywags out in the wilds, kind of developing this father-daughter relationship, and we're starting to see that start to come to fruition. I have loved the way that the adaptation so far has stayed true to the story that was established by the game, but also is introducing these characters that you know and love and subverting your expectations of how they impact the show. I wasn't on the episode with Bill and Frank, but I thought that was done beautifully. It adapted in a way that you couldn't have told that story in the video game, and so we got this incredible character that was adapted into this incredible story that it only worked in the show, and it worked beautifully because it was in the show. And they are doing the same thing here with this episode, but I think that this one is going to be a little bit more longer lasting and impactful. We're establishing this like community that's kind of like self-sufficient and built up. Never mind a quarantine zone, never mind Fedra or whatever. This is just people making things work. And we didn't get a whole lot of names. We know that Kathleen's one of them, and they're after somebody named Henry. But we got a lot of like subtle clues to who these people are and how they relate to each other. And it was all done masterfully. And I can't wait to see what they do with them.
Yeah. Not a bad episode of this show for sure, ever yet. I don't expect there to be one. I really enjoyed it. I was taken aback for the first time, and I'm always the guy that's championing, hey, this is an adaptation, a show is a show, a comic book is a comic book, and you should tell a story anyway that no other medium could do, or you've done it wrong, right? Like you should use the medium of the comic book to its full potential, and you should do the same thing with a movie and a TV show and a book, whatever you can fucking think of, right? Post-it notes, what are those called when you just spread the pages real fast? Flip books.
Flip book. Oh, yeah.
If you're going to do a flip book, you do a flip book. You don't try to, there's no bottle episode in a flip book. That's ridiculous. Just a tinier Post-it note in the middle.
Now I want to try it.
Meanwhile,
that being a flip book, and then it like stops and you like open up, there's a tiny envelope like, oh, there's a flip book in here.
That being said, there were some moments in this episode, and I had read in advance, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann had said the show's not going to be anywhere near as violent as the game. And that made sense to me just off, as soon as I heard it, I was like, well, of course, you're not going to, because of gameplay, kill 98 people every hour, because that's just not a thing. And trying to depict what would happen in real life. But there was an iconic sequence from the game depicted in this episode, that I felt just did not have the oomph that the game did. And I'm usually not that guy. But there, and the sequence I'm talking about, like in the game, Joel gets thrown through a glass cabinet and almost killed by a shard of glass. And then he wrestles the other guy into it.
Glass.
That seemed like the perfect kind of thing to ramp up the action on episode 4 because they took 70% of the action out of episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I was totally on board with it. Like it served the story. You're building up these other characters. Everything's on all cylinders because I know what's coming. I know that I'm going to have this climactic release because there is action in this story at some point. We've only seen 2 or 3 clickers and we're 4 hours in, we're almost halfway done with this story. And I have defended this show against people that make those claims by being like, dude, it's an adaptation. This is how adaptation works, blah, 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 blah. But at this point, I'm getting a little antsy at this point. Like, You need to ramp it up for me, please, just for at least 6 minutes.
Let me try to calm your nerves.
That's what she said.
Let me try to calm your nerves. I think the action piece you're thinking of in this episode serves as just a very small, like simmering, like we're in this space. I think next episode we're going to see a ramping up, and if we don't see that by next episode, then maybe be a little worried. But I think we're going to get a big climactic ramp up next episode with how things are going.
Sure.
Or at least when this mini Kansas City arc concludes.
Yeah, I mean, I know what's for sure happening next time based on the game, and that'll be interesting as hell. But I just want to see Joel and Ellie do what they can do for a little bit, just as a nod, And I thought this was the time. I really thought it was, and they shortened it from like 7 or 8 guys to 3. And then took a lot of the stuff out of even the 3 that they had. But overall, again, I don't want to sound like I'm harping some of my favorite moments of the season so far have happened in episode 4. I had a great time. I just really, they shot this thing for 11 months and it cost a ton of money. Let me see it.
Yeah.
Where's all these practical clicker actors and stuff? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, show me the money, as Cuba Gooding Jr. would say.
Show me the money.
I think we are going to get a lot in this next episode. Like this one's, I think, going to lean a lot more into horror. And that is how it's pronounced. But,
that is a callback to a later episode.
That will drop Friday.
But anyway, yeah, I think that we're going to get a lot of that in the next episode. I had forgotten about the glass case thing, but you're right. That would have been a very cinematic, awesome sequence.
I thought so too. It's not in there. It was just like a shotgun choke instead. And I was like, a little disappointed right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, I like we'll get to that in the recap,
Yeah,
but I like the story character beats that they exchanged into that sequence.
Yeah, it's 2 moments in the game that they pushed into that.
Yeah.
But also diminished a little because we'll talk about it. I'm excited to hear your thoughts because you guys know a lot more. I only played the thing for the first time a few weeks ago. So it opens with Ellie playing with the gun in the mirror. She's in the bathroom. We can presume, Joel's thinks she's doing.
She saw Taxi Driver. She was really getting into the role.
Yeah.
She's big McLovin vibes in this, dude. She's like playing with the gun, like break yourself. Like having fun.
That's what you do, first time. But she kind of knows how to handle it too. Yeah. She pops the clip out before she starts playing around. And
when she cleared the chamber, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be like a kid with gun sequence. And thankfully it wasn't that.
She knows her way around the pistol a little bit, though she does sniff it.
Is she a gun pervert?
I don't know.
The sniffing thing got me like, I don't like that.
It's not like it had been freshly fired and she was smelling like the whatever that is, sulfur, phosphorus. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not a scientist. What am I, a chemist? What am I, a chemist?
Freedom flakes.
I'm just a podcast.
Smells like freedom.
After sniffing her gun, she goes back outside to find Joel siphoning gas. And he explains what might be true. I didn't Google it, that gas breaks down over time. And so it's not as gassy. It's not as effective.
It's not as gassy.
Had some Pepto.
Yeah. We put some Imodium in these tanks. And so that, he's like, hey, what we used to last us about 12 hours of driving is only a few hours now. So they got to get more gas more
what car
quickly.
was he driving in 2000 that would get him 12 hours a tank?
A Prius, my friend.
But in the year 2003, were there Priuses then?
I think there were.
Were they? I think there were.
I think there were. It's my Bostonian accent.
Would that there's twa.
Would that it were so simple. It's very Belgish. And then he says, But he doesn't know how siphoning works, and it's
I
a
love that.
hilarious
He's like,
sequence.
It goes against gravity because pressure, and
You don't know how it works, do you?
I know that it works. I don't know how it works either.
Yeah, that was my
clue.
note. I looked at Andy like, I don't know how it works. And he's like, me neither.
No.
Steve, do you know how siphoning works?
No.
I do.
I do know what mermaids'
What?
favorite what they wear in class is
What is it?
an algae bra.
I forgot about that. I was like, what is it? Where's this going? I did it looked like he blew into the tank. And I actually read this recently because I've never siphoned gas that like it's a popular misunderstanding that you have to suck to get the gas out and then it goes in your mouth a little bit. You can actually blow and it does the same thing. It's much safer. Obviously, you won't get gas in your mouth.
Well, he was using like a 2-pipe system, and I've never seen that depicted before. Maybe I just haven't paid that much attention, but it looked like he was blowing in one tube and the gas was coming out of the other one. Whereas every other time I've seen siphoning in media, it's been like sucking on a tube and then
Show us how that looks again.
just like this.
Okay. So he's siphoning. That's when she finally pulls out the joke book,
The joke book.
drops a few zingers on him, some chuckle busters. I don't know any other synonyms.
Some knee slappers.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. And then they proceed to drive. She finds a tape. She's in the back seat. It's an old Hank Williams Sr., I believe, tape. And she's like, remember this? And he's like, it's before my time, actually, but it is a banger. It's a bop.
The darkness has fallen. The sky has turned gray.
He's like, oh man, this is a pick me up. And then she finds a porno mag, the equivalent of a Playgirl. It's one of Bill's, we presume. And she starts looking around, making Joel very uncomfortable. Hey, put that down.
Yeah, I want to see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah. How does he walk with that thing?
I love that line.
I just do my best.
I love the sly little look she gives before she goes, why are these pages so sticky? Like,
Yeah.
she's just like, oh, I'm going to really mess with him here.
And he's like, I'm just fucking with you. And throws it out the window.
Bye, dude.
Then we cut to more driving. He pulls off the road for a break and drives all the way into the woods. And
There's some really cool scenic shots. I
was a good shot.
Love all the scenic shots of them driving around. There's literally one shot in particular that I'm like, did they film that here where we live? And
yeah,
then
that's how Ohio looks.
they just added like a bunch of mossy shit on the bridge they were going over.
They have like the Love's gas station that's like every highway. And
I thought it was just our area, but yeah.
Sarah and I use that. That's like every Midwestern couple. It's like, I loves you. Anytime you drive past one. But yeah.
And then they drove by the Buckbees. No, I'm kidding. But we got an Arby's sign too in the Love. So apparently Arby's is just owns Last of Us.
Yeah,
They're having a
that's
great time.
Yeah, they paid a lot of money for sure.
And so they drive into the
like,
woods.
Ellie,
And
we have the meats. Come on, Ellie. Got some seasoned curlies.
You ever hear about some beef and cheddars?
you ever had a French dip? I've never have either, Ellie.
So last week, Bill had that Arby's joke with Frank.
Yes.
And then that Monday or Tuesday, I was like, you know what? I need to get Arby's. They mentioned
I think a lot of people had
on
that,
Last of
man.
Us. Let me get some Arby's. I bought some Arby's. I ordered a French dip and some mozzarella sticks. Their mozzarella sticks are fire. But these motherfuckers gave me a French dip without the dip.
You're supposed to dip the sandwich like it's a literal dip.
Yeah, it's like
It's like a
jus
hot
sauce.
brown.
Yeah.
You're supposed to dip it in au jus.
It's au jus?
Yeah.
Bless you. But what does that have to do with anything?
That's the sandwich. It's so good. And
I'll
they
try
messed
it.
up.
I think I'm going to have some Arby's tomorrow. They're not sponsoring the show. It's going to be hard for me not to get a classic beef and cheddar. I got to tell you.
You can still get it.
But also, I'm a little pissed at
B&C.
Arby's because of inflation. I told you guys this story
Arby's
before. I
five for
think.
five.
Five for $5.95. Now it's fucking like 8 for 2.
It was $35 for
insane.
6 sandwiches.
It's insane.
It was $5. Well, it would have been like $7 for that last time I remember going to Arby's. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah. Well, I mean,
and even the Arby's employee was like, I know.
Dude, fast
I
food
don't know.
inflation's
I wouldn't
insane.
buy it.
I went to Wendy's. I paid $12.50 for a spicy chicken sandwich combo. No, it wasn't even large. It was medium.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
This is like, I want to lose my fucking mind, but I know that it's not their fault. It's just an employee trying to make a living. So I say nothing. But in my head, I'm like, this is shitty food. This is taking 14 days off my life. I am buying this because I don't want to pay for real fucking food. Now it costs what real food costs.
Yeah.
I love how mad this is making.
Well, no, he's not wrong, man.
A carton of eggs is $6.
I know, I love it.
Like,
some people just like watching the world burn.
I don't love the inflation. I love watching Chris combust.
I'm sorry. I haven't let it out because I won't take it out on the poor frontline workers.
What's funny? So
As soon as we get a fucking Patreon, it's money's meaningless.
I used to live near an Arby's back in Bellevue. There was that Arby's by us. That was the funniest Arby's to go to because no matter what time of day you went, the poor women that worked at that Arby's, no matter what time you showed up at, they looked like they had just gone through World War III. Like it could be like 2:30 on a Wednesday and you walk in like, oh my God. Oh, you would not believe what just happened. We are out of roast beef, hon.
Oh, fuck no, we don't have horsey sauce. We never do.
I'm so sorry. Do we have water? Oh, we're out of the water too, sir. I'm so sorry.
The water machine broke.
There's like one other person reading a newspaper and not eating, and they're like, that guy came in and he ordered 12 burgers. I don't know what to do.
We don't have burgers.
I got one stale cherry turnover, but I was going to eat it, but you can have it.
You can have a piece.
That'll be $11.
I'll split it with you.
Because fuck you. Go back to your 2 kids, your 2 dogs, and your 2 cats, you son of a bitch. So they get in the woods and they have some ravioli that I probably couldn't afford nowadays, but they can because it's the apocalypse. 20-year-old Chef Boyardee, and Ellie says that guy was good, meaning the chef, Mr. Boyardee.
It's a real guy.
I agree.
Joel's like, yep, I agree.
This shit is good.
Very good.
I guess you could probably still eat ravioli in 20 years, I guess.
Andy used to make fun of my Chef Boyardee when I had it here in the
Your
apartment.
beefaroni. I never forgot, man. I ate a can. It was trash, but I respect you anyway.
I bet
You're my friend and I
real
love you.
ravioli is like really good. Like
You know-
actual Italian
Oh,
restaurant
yeah, it's
Oh, dude,
ravioli.
you need
Yeah,
to
it's
go
so
up to
good.
like Alfio's, get the.
No, I mean, if I go to an Italian restaurant, I'm going to order like gnocchi or something. You know, I would never get ravioli.
Well,
but
they're
I
known for the
want to.
ravioli. Alfio's is. They have like this-
Alfio's?
Yeah, it's like mushroom, or it's like truffle prime rib ravioli. It's fucking.
Oh my
incredible.
God.
Damn.
You have to go.
Where's this at? Ohio?
Yes. Anyway,
I love how like we've talked about 3 different styles of food. And
I'm
this-
hungry.
all hungry.
All I've had is cake and cookies
You've had
since like
cake.
5 o'clock
I had
for
a bunch of
free.
cheese.
I eat whatever's free nowadays. But anyway, they love the ravioli. And, you know, Joel points out that he's afraid of people not infected because she's like, oh, I can't start a fire because it's going to alert the infected. And he's like, no, the fungus isn't that smart. It's people. And that's always his main fear is other people. He doesn't give a shit about infected most of the time. So they lay down to go to sleep and she starts reading with her flashlight, which we can presume is the joke book. And she says, Joe, and he doesn't hear her. I don't know if he's ignoring her. It's one of his, because his left ear was up, right? So it should have been, he could hear her. We find out later that his right ear is bad.
Which is nice because I think I mentioned last episode.
You did.
I was like, they said he's deaf in one ear, but that hasn't come up yet.
Yeah.
And it finally did.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then she says, Joe,
Way too loud.
which really cracked me up. And then tries to hit him with another joke, right?
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah, that's right. It was such a
Why did the scarecrow win an award?
he was-
he was outstanding in his field.
I don't know if he guesses it or he's heard that joke, but she's so happy that he guessed it. Like, you fucking asshole.
You fucking asshole.
It's so fucking cool. But then there's a really tender moment where she needs reassurance. I think it's the first time she's actually asked for reassurance from Joel in that way. You know, she's like, hey, are we really, they're not going to find us, right? We're waiting. Nobody knows where we're at. And he's like terrified. He has no idea if this is true, but he knows in that moment he has to lie. And he's like, yeah, we're safe. So she goes to sleep, and then you see a frame of Joel actually not sleeping. He's standing guard while she sleeps later. And I got chills. Like I just, you know, he's starting to break down his walls. Like he can't hide that he cares for her. And that was just such a cool moment to see.
The score mixed with that shot of him just standing there is really, it's that haunting guitar. That,
Yeah.
I love it. Score's so good. In
Boston, I think it was. Maybe Chicago,
What?
the band.
Oh, that was Chicago. Brad Delt from Boston came in. It was like, it's more than a feeling. There's Raiders nearby.
There's Raiders nearby. We cut to the morning, and he's making some coffee, and she wakes up and looks at it. What the fuck is that? I guess the smell throws her off. I'm not sure. It doesn't look that alarming.
It's like bubbling and shit.
Yeah, he's like boiling that shit.
I don't know what kind of kettle, that electric kettle that you're making coffee on? Oh, never used one.
Me neither. I'm not a camper.
That was a weird one.
I'm not a camper.
But imagine like
Percolator.
coffee.
I think that's what that's called.
Percolator. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's classic. That's like how you make it in the Wild West. The Wild West.
Hot then.
Yeah, like, I mean, coffee has a very strong smell. So if you've never smelt it before, which I assume she's never
That
has,
you've never dealt it.
it means you've never dealt it for sure. But I can understand like being in the woods, like, what in the hell are
Yeah.
you doing?
Why is this making me want to poop?
Did you poop in a kettle?
Are you boiling mud? What's happening here?
What, you don't like coffee? So the QZ, we find out, had a Starbucks, which is fascinating to me.
I don't think the Starbucks was open. I assumed she meant it was a rundown Starbucks building that wasn't actually
Starbucks is still
operational.
I thought for sure.
I don't think the Bostonian QZ was hiring baristas.
I have a triple caramel macchiato for Joel.
That's me. Where are my cake pops?
Pumpkin spice latte for Tess. Where are my cake pops?
Extra whip.
We're out. And then she's reading the map and different cities in Wyoming, asking about Tommy. What's Cheyenne? Cheyenne. What, really? That just cracks me up. He tells her a little bit about Tommy and their relationship throughout the past, that Tommy was a joiner. He joined the military and then went to Desert Storm, and then
Wants to be a hero.
always wants to be a hero. And so that's why he joined the Fireflies, and a little bit about how they came to be in Boston and how they met Tess. Very tiny nuggets of info. Essentially what you get the most out of this conversation is that Joel is incredibly pessimistic. That we already knew. His brother is delusional for believing that he can help the world at all. And Ellie's kind of looking at this like, that's wrong. You got to try, right? Why even live if there's nothing to make better? There's no point to life. And then
Go for family. That's what Joel says. You continue going on for family, and that's it.
And Ellie says, well, something like, I'm family, right? And he said, no, you're cargo.
Tess was family. I liked her.
She told me to protect you, right? And she's like, well, what if we don't find Tommy there? And then what's going to happen? He's like, I will. I'm persistent, right? Which is true about his character. He's an unstoppable force of stubbornness. God damn it. We cut to a little bit later. They're driving still.
This is a great smash cut.
It was so good.
You better get some sleep. I'm not even tired. Smash cut. She's passed out on the chair
It's so funny.
or in the seat.
It's a good way to like relieve some tension before things ramp up too.
Yeah.
And then they find that the freeway is too crowded with old cars, and there's even been like a jackknifed semi like straight up against the tunnel. Did you get the impression that they put that there
Yes.
to purposely deter?
Specifically
Yes.
when he looks through that little peephole and he can see straight through the tunnel and there are 0 cars.
Yes.
left. Yeah.
Pretty clever there. And then Joel gets out to have a look-see, and as Steve said, he sees this carnage up ahead that he can't get the truck through. Joel decides to go around the tunnel. We'll be back on the highway on the other side in a minute tops. They get lost in the city immediately.
Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah, baby. Not Pittsburgh.
They're going to the Super Bowl. That's what that city's going to look like. That's what that city's going to look like if they
Steve,
win.
it is too soon.
The burnt bodies
It
were the
is
Bengals fans
too
that
soon.
camped out too early.
Yeah, that was that's what they did with the Bengals fans. I'm sorry, Andy.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
We do see a giant freshly burnt body pile, and then we see a guy come out seemingly for help. He looks injured. He's, oh, help me. And Joel, help me.
I'm hurt.
Help me. Help me. And then Joel looks over at Ellie and says, put your seatbelt on. He knows what the
Bait.
Yeah, it turns into Tom Hardy from Mad Max Fury Road.
It's bait.
And immediately, a guy throws a cinder block on the truck from above, and people start shooting him in the windshield. So Joel swerves to the right, crashes into an old storefront of some kind.
Laundromat.
Yes.
That's right. Immediately checks on Ellie before everything's still popping off. Bullets are flying around him. Are you sure? Are you okay? Nothing wrong? And then has her push out the side of the door. He tells her to crawl through a hole on the other side. They're not going to shoot you. You're going to be fine. And starts distracting him with his own bullets. And he kills one guy. And then eventually shoots the other one while Ellie's hiding and looking on. Then Joel gets choked out from behind, attacked by some guy named Brian with a Y, which is worse somehow.
It is.
And
He had it coming. Just saying.
Ellie pulls out her switchblade, then decides to, or remembers her gun, or changes her mind and decides to go for the gun. Shoots Brian in what I'm guessing is his lower spine, because he loses control of his legs. And then he proceeds to beg Ellie and talk about his mom, and his name's Brian. It's gonna be fine.
It's super fucked up. He's like, I don't know what to do. My legs don't work. Shit.
He's
fucked up.
legitimately panicking, right? And then Joel
I can
says,
trade with you guys. Here, take my knife.
"Yeah,
It's
I got a
super
dope
cool.
knife." I can take that anyway after I kill you. That's true, but that's mean.
Can you kill me with my own knife?
Yeah. And then, Joel, I guess he tells Ellie to go back to her hidey hole. And then I guess he stabs him in the head.
Yeah, the sound effect said thwump.
It did say thwump, but he could have hit him.
Well, we see him with a stab wound in his chest later, don't we?
I didn't even look at that body. I was looking at Melanie Linsky.
So this was the scene that you thought needed more oomph, I take it?
Yeah, I thought it should have been like 45 seconds longer and like 3 extra dead guys just to show, because Joel's a survivor. He's not a superhero, but I would like to see a little more hot Joel action, and most importantly, I would have rather had some more brutal violence in this sequence. But most importantly, I wanted Ellie to kill that guy because in the game, she does, not in that scene, but when she finally fires that gun, it is to kill someone. Mm-hmm. And I think you can't do that twice where it's like, oh, are you okay? It gets easier. Actually, no, it doesn't. You can't do that twice. And now they've done it, but the guy wasn't actually dead. And I'm like,
I think that made it so much worse. I actually think that this
awful.
was way more effective.
Because he was begging and stuff?
She shot him, paralyzed him, and he was begging, screaming, crying for his mom. That's way worse.
Yeah, I thought that was really just, you could see just how awful, like it's worse than she ever could have thought. Because we know, like as people who play the game, we know what happens with her first kill. So this is a different scenario, I think.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she's not quite ready to take a life in that way, and then he's begging and pleading for her, you can see like she's not really ready for that. And then just the ice in Joel's veins is that's Joel, right? Where he's like, get out of here, and like I'll take care of this. Like I love that part. I think
fuck you, Brian.
I kind of agree with you. Like in the actual gunfight, I would have liked a little bit more. There was a little bit of a low budget stage play to the gunfight part of it. There's like
it looked like
the 3 guys. There's only like 3 shots, and they're not really that interesting of camera angles either.
Yes, they're not.
With a lot of quick
Like,
cuts
that's how
to the same shot.
That's how the game looks when you can control the camera and you do it wrong. You know what I mean? Like you see like the guy fall over, and then you're like looking in your backpack.
And there's this really weird, like
healing your arm.
When they had their backs to the van, and he's telling her like, go to that wall. It's a 2 shot of the 2 of them, and then it would cut to another 2 shot, but slightly more to the right. And it would cut to another. It was just a weird. Why are we cutting between these 2 cameras so often? They're not achieving a lot.
Yes,
I did like how when he shoots the one dude, the guy outside's like, oh, he runs over and checks on his buddy, because that is a thing in the game. Is like the NPCs actually care about the other
all
NPCs.
of the back dialogue. You fucker! Like all that stuff seemed like it was from the game.
Oh, you're going to pay now. You done did it.
Must have been the wind.
Yeah. And then Joel sneaks away, and they just
Metal Gear Solid game now.
they forget about it. And like in the
Must have
game,
been the wind.
Ellie is in mortal peril, like immediately. Like you fight the guy with the glass shard, and then you turn around, and Ellie's got a guy on her, choking her. And so Joel has to kick into high gear.
He has to fight another dude to get
Yes.
to her to save her from that guy.
And so he kicks into high gear and like brutally fucks that dude up, depending on what you have in your inventory at that time. And then and give it a limited time to get to Ellie because she's choking. Anyway, I wanted another 20%.
But the devil's advocate, because
But you guys totally sold me on the begging guy and having a different kind of impact. I mean, you're totally right, I think.
But what I was saying before is I think what they're doing with this little story arc in Kansas City is they're merging like the Pittsburgh storyline in the game with the Sam and Henry storyline a little bit more. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to feed the what do you call it? Did they have a name, the group of people in Kansas City? Have they revealed their name yet?
They have not.
Whatever that group of people's name is, they're after Sam and Henry for some reason. And I think the way we are introduced to the situation is in a low stakes fight with 3 people. So that is believable to them that Sam and Henry were behind that attack and not Joel and Ellie.
Fair.
Because Joel can probably easily fuck up 10 dudes, right? I don't think Sam and Henry could. So if they come across 20 bodies, they're like, well, this isn't Sam and Henry.
Sure. Well, like Kathleen gives me the vibe of somebody who's just obsessed with Henry at this point.
Right.
And I think she would have blamed a meteor on Henry. But
would Perry have been upset? That's the guy with the beard.
Is his name Perry?
Yeah.
Mason?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think you're 100% right. And yeah, so in the game, a lot of what we saw today takes place in Pittsburgh, which geographically geographically. Makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like it took them 20 hours to drive from Boston to Pittsburgh, and then, you know what I mean? And then they would go across the rest of the country unscathed. So I can see Craig Mazin changing stuff like that and kind of batting an eye at that. But you guys sold me on that. And again, I love this episode. It's just something that I was thinking about. So all of that happens, and Brian's dead now. So they go into the other room. And they talk a little bit, but not much. Then we see Humvees and trucks drive through. They're looking for Brian. And I started questioning things because it cuts to Melanie Linsky's character. And I think is the guy's name Edelstein?
The one she's interrogating?
Doctor?
Edelstein, yeah.
Edelstein. Yeah. So it's Melanie Linsky as Kathleen. And I recognize the actor playing Dr. Edelstein as well, but I couldn't place him. But I could see like a 10-year younger version of him in like 30 movies.
Yeah, you're right.
I guess it's inside the Raiders camp was my note, but now I know it's like this whole society. Because in the game, this scene is like, it's just a random band of what we call hunters. Like it's just shitty people that are often cannibals, but they're just trying to kill and rob you, right?
Yeah,
Whereas this is like a society very similar to the WLF that you see in the second game, which is interesting to me that maybe they're building that up early.
Yeah,
or
they're establishing that like there are people other than the QZ and Fedra. There's just people, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think in this part of the game, you have to fight like an army tank with a Gatling gun on it. Right. And so I think they're establishing like what kind of, it would have to be a society to have resources like this, not this little band of marauders, right? So I do like that aspect of it. And we do see people like overthrowing the QZs and stuff earlier this way.
That was a really creepy shot when they stop in front of the QZ and it's like opened up and abandoned.
Yeah. It was
That
like,
was
oh,
kind
shit.
of like, ooh, this is bad.
And that's when Joel was like, oh, fuck, you know, because he's probably seen stuff like that go down before. So they see the Humvees and stuff. And then we cut to the doctor and Kathleen. She's interrogating him. She's looking for Henry. And I didn't even put together that it was the Henry from the game, like Andy said, at all. I was just like, some guy named Henry.
Oh, really? You didn't pick up on that?
No, not until later when I saw the superhero drawings and then Andy said it. I was like, oh, that is the same guy.
Quick question, slight backtrack. Did Frank say that he was coming from Kansas City and was trying to get to Boston? Because he said the QZ's gone. In the last episode.
I know he was headed to Boston. I think I'll go to Boston.
I don't think he was coming from Kansas City.
Wherever he was coming from, the QZ had just been destroyed there or overthrown or whatever. I was just wondering if maybe
Let
that
me
was
see if
like
I can. I think I wrote that down. I can look it up.
While he digs for that, her brother was beaten to death by Fedra, and you start to get this immediate, vague but very clear at the same time backstory that she fucking hates Fedra.
Frank was coming from the Baltimore QZ.
Baltimore.
Okay, gotcha.
And she can't stand the the fascist regime of Fedra. So she's started a rebellion, and she sees Dr. Edelstein as complicit in that. Like,
well, she thinks that like her brother's death was Henry's fault and he knows where Henry is. Right?
Yes.
But we don't know what Henry did, right?
Well, I think he told on some people, or was all she was blaming Edelstein for?
I thought she was claiming that Edelstein...
You snitched on your neighbors, yeah. And he's begging her, like, I delivered you I've known you since you were a baby. Like, I'm family practically. And she looks emotionally moved by that, but sticking to her resolve. So Kathleen gets called out to go see Brian and company that have been killed by Joel and Ellie, and that's when she blames Sam and Henry for that. And we see that there's dozens and dozens of members to this new group that have overthrown the QZ, and she seems to be the leader. And then she says, would a doctor help Brian? And they're like, definitely not. And at that point, she decides to go back and kill the doctor. It's their society's only doctor.
Messed up.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pans out for her.
I'm sick. Oh, no.
Dr. Edelstein is played by an actor named John Getz.
Okay.
And I'm looking at his known for on his IMDb. He is known for The Social Network. He's Cy in The Social Network. Ray in Blood Simple. He's in The Fly. He's Stathis Borans.
So just as I thought, just like a nameless face to me.
Yeah.
He looks like he's in a ton of
huge
shows,
movies.
Just as like maybe a couple episodes here and there on a bunch of big shows. So yeah, he's just one of those guys.
He's got one of them faces. He's a face guy.
I'm a face guy.
And so she blames Henry, and
Keep that thing on me.
it goes back to Joel and Ellie.
Real quick, when they go out and what's her name? Kathleen is talking to Perry, the guy with the beard.
Bad motherfucker, dude.
That dude is super cool looking. Also, That actor is the voice of Tommy in the game. That's the guy that plays Tommy.
Did you recognize that or did you know that?
As soon as he opened his mouth, I was like, that's Tommy. Because he has like, they're over here. He has like that like kind of wispy, raspy, southern drawl in his voice. And as soon as he opened his mouth, like, it's Tommy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so
good looking dude too. Oh my gosh,
man with the beard of pure regality.
Beard of the gods.
He's a goddamn lion.
I bet Jimmy was so jealous when he saw that beard.
Is he like? Does he have beard envy?
Yeah, for sure, constant. So he says, cuts back to Jolie and Ellie, and she's like, "Who are they?" And he's like, "People. Like these are the people I was telling you about. Like there's me and there's you, and everyone else sucks."
Did you look at their trucks? Their trucks say, "We the people." They are people.
Which is what the same thing my dad taught me. There's me, there's you, and everyone else sucks. And I was like, what about mom? And he was like, there's me.
She's I.
There's you. And I was like, oh, that's fair. And so they're out looking for Joel and Ellie. And I put a note, it's like they're the WLF. And then Ellie checks on Joel. She is the instigator of this conversation. Hey, are you okay? Because he's looking a little rough for the, for the wear. And he tries to talk to her about hurting people and how it was his fault, not hers. And, but he stumbles around all of his words. He's very bad at it. He hasn't exercised his comforting someone else muscle in 20 years. You can tell it's all over it. And he's like, sorry, I'm not very good at this. And she's like, you're terrible at it. I'm not comforted at all. Not even a little bit. If anything, I feel worse. I kind of want to, I wish I had killed him. That's how I feel right now. You're making it worse. But then she says, she allays his fears a little bit because she says, it wasn't my first time. But she does cry a little bit. But when she says that, he looks up and he decides to give her the gun back. And he wants to give her a quick little gun safety course, but she passes all the tests. She already knows to hold the gun without her finger on the trigger. And he shows her how to hold it with two hands so that nobody can take it from her. She giggles about that, which I thought was a really nice touch that she giggle at that,
Yeah, he's like,
if you're a kid and you're like, you can't get it.
Get up.
Guns.
And then she puts it in her pocket against his orders when he's not looking.
Yep.
You'll shoot your eye out. It's like a Christmas story moment there. That's
You'll
it.
Shoot your ass off.
And then he says, hey, we're going to get through this. And Ellie says very calmly, I know. And I love that moment as well. I think it was a great thing for her character because she's ultimately, like I said, a little off in the best way. She's actually not that concerned. Part of her is like, I know.
And their plan for now is just to get to the tall building and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, just like the game. We cut back to Kathleen. This is when she climbs up into the attic and where we presume Sam and Henry had been staying. She finds a bunch of cans of food or empty cans that held food and superhero drawings as if a little kid drew them. And so they're looking for Sam and Henry.
That was Joel. Joel drew those.
Yeah. And it's just me. I'm a superhero. And it's just you.
I really like this capes.
Smaller superhero.
Ellie, I made you one too.
Ellie, yours is blue.
They find broken ground in another building and get scared. I think this is evidence of what in the game we call a bloater. Just like it would jump down and like do. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Well, at the very least, I think because Joel and Tess mentioned it in episode 2 that the fungal growth, there's like tunnels of it kind of going all over underground. Like that's where the fungus really thrives.
So it might mean there's a horde.
There's
coming.
like a horde, or like the infestation that's happening below ground is starting to destroy the ground above.
So they need to get out of that whole quadrant.
Yeah, they probably all need to leave before that that breathing ground bursts and all the infected come running out.
Yeah.
Big old sinkhole.
Yeah.
And Kathleen doesn't want to tell anybody. And Perry's like really not for that. But she's like, look, we got to focus on Sam and Henry. And then we don't want to distract anyone with extra fears and worries. So she's very foolishly, very selfishly going headlong into her pursuit of Henry in this instance. Endangering the community, dare I say. Cuts back to Joel giving Ellie a boost into the vent and it says, hey, look around first, but she doesn't heed his warning. She drops straight in, opens the door and says, what would you do without me? He says, I'd be in Wyoming right now. She said, I walked right into that one.
Walked right into it.
Which I just love that kind of interplay. And they need to climb 45 flights of stairs.
To make it to the top.
Which I go on that little Stairmaster thing at the gym sometimes that counts the flights. I definitely never made it to 45.
That's a lot.
Is it a lot?
It is a shitload.
Feels like
I track my flights of stairs at work and like I've done like 33 up to 40, but that's over the course of like an 8-hour day,
Yeah.
So fuck.
Buns of steel. That's what I would have. So then she asks him while going up the stairs, how'd you know that the guy wasn't injured? You seem to know it was a trap when we got there. And he said, I've been on both sides. back with Tess and with Tommy and the gang. That's kind of the thing he would used to do, whatever we had to do to survive. And she asks him point blank, did you kill innocent people? He hesitates for a long time, that very obviously says yes, and then says, come on, and goes up the stairs. I think they make it 36 flights.
33
before Joel has to rest.
Because remember, Tess and Joel have bad knees.
Yeah. And she's like, get your lazy ass up. And he's like, lazy, I'm 56, which is a fair point.
You little shit.
So they get into a little room to lay out for the night, or at least take a pee nap or rest. And he finds some really fresh looking couch cushions that looked pretty comfy, actually.
Yeah, it did look comfy.
And then he starts dropping a bunch of broken glass in front of the door. And Ellie's like, Joel, because he's a little deaf. What the fuck are you doing? She legitimately doesn't know. He just looks crazy to her. Like, I love broken glass. And she's like, oh, I get crunch. I get it, which I thought was hilarious.
How are you going to hear it?
And he's like, later, she's like, no, what I meant was you're obviously deaf in your right ear. And while they're trying to sleep, he breaks the silence this time, which I love the reverse there. Like, he's starting to warm up to her and wants to talk, and says, what do you mean it wasn't your first time? She says she doesn't want to talk about it, which is usually what he does. And then he's like, well, I'm just trying to say it's not fair at your age. And she says, it gets easier when you get older. And he's like, no, killing people's never cool. And then she breaks the silence again after talking about his ear for a little bit. And I thought it was interesting. I think it's important for his character that she said, oh, you're deaf because you got shot, which is what we talked about last time. And he's like, I think it's more from me shooting, which goes to show you, more about the kind of stuff that he's done throughout his life. And then she tells him, did you know diarrhea was hereditary? Because it runs in your genes. And they start, he smiles at first, and then they start full on laughing all night, which was just such a cool moment to see him fully break down for the first time.
The walls finally tear down.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
And then the next scene, it's Joel, who did not get awoken by any glass crunches, but I feel like Sam and Henry came from a way he was not expecting. And he wakes up. Joel! And Henry and Sam have guns to each of their heads, and that's it. And Sam says, shh.
And Sam's dressed up like a superhero.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. He had a little mask on and stuff.
I'm super. That's how he.
Super Sam.
Yeah, Super Sam. And that's the end of the episode, which brings us to our top 3 favorite Fireflies. Baby. People love when we say baby at the end of everything.
They do.
Steve.
My number 3 Firefly is going to be a shameless plug. My number 3 is merely
Arby's.
5 for 5. No, is the mere mention and visual sight of Melanie Linsky popping up in this episode, who plays Kathleen. And if you guys don't know, she's also one of the main stars of a little show called Yellow Jackets.
Shauna Shipman.
On Showtime, which we are covering on Wednesdays. We are covering the first season of Yellow Jackets until the second season comes out next month.
Yeah, March 26th or so.
But no, it was fun to see her. I honestly didn't know she was in this show. So we recorded the Yellow Jackets episode before this one.
Yeah, like a couple hours before.
So like a couple hours ago, Chris and I did that. And so when she popped up on my screen, I did the her, and I looked at Chris like
the Leo DiCaprio thing.
Yeah. The lady that was on my TV screen is on my TV screen again. And you were like, yeah, buddy, settle down. But that's my number 3. So check out that episode when it drops on Wednesday.
Annie, you're number 3.
Let's see. My number 3 is Joel and Ellie laughing over the diarrhea joke at the end of the episode. Just the walls coming down, Joel cracking up, and like it felt so natural and good. Just like the performance, it felt like real people laughing. It didn't feel like a forced ha 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 moment. Like, it seemed genuine, and like I guess that's just a testament to the acting.
Yeah,
but.
And the chemistry between characters.
And especially the chemistry between characters and the actors on screen. All good stuff.
My number 3 is the porno mag, or really that whole little sequence in the truck. It's a huge, iconic moment from the games that even...
The porno mag?
Well, yeah, but like that scene of them in the truck specifically, it's one of the funniest Ellie moments in the first game. And like the clip of Ashley Johnson and the guy who voices
Troy
Joel,
Baker.
Troy Baker, doing it in like a live performance that they did. Like even that went viral. Just those two actors reenacting that on stage has gone viral. So it's a big thing. And I was wondering if they were going to do it because it's such a big moment. And it was really cool to see it done just as well. With Bella Ramsey really delivering those lines that I've heard many, many times, but making me chuckle just again with her performance of it, and Pedro Pascal playing it off just the way that he's supposed to. And I think it's important for her character in a couple ways too, later on. But yeah, it's just a good moment of like them building their bond, and to see it done so well was really cool. Yeah. Steve.
My number 2 is your number 3, Joel and Ellie in the truck. Everything you just said and more. Like, it's just so fun to see them, the barrier is starting to break down for Joel. Ellie gets to be herself, this like spunky kid. And she's purposely making him feel uncomfortable. And there's a lot going on in the scene because you get the Hank Williams Sr. song, which is just like an iconic song for the franchise. And we'll get more into that in the pills, baby. But yeah, it's just a really fun scene, and everything you just said, Chris.
Andy, you're number 2.
My number 2 is the killing of Brian. The whole sequence where Ellie shoots the dude and he's screaming, pleading. He's freaking out. I don't know what to do. I can't move my legs. Where's my mom? Crying for like we can trade and all this shit. Like the impact that is obvious all over Ellie's face as that's going down. The resignation on Joel's face that like it's fucked up that she's having to watch this, and he knows the second that dude gets shot, he's like, I'm gonna have to kill that guy. And the way that all of that played out was brilliant. I agree about like there was some cinematic action that we didn't get that was in the game, but worth it, I think, for the character moment that we got as a result.
Agreed. Sold. My number 2 is when Joel comforts Ellie right after that scene, basically, Andy. Joel tries to comfort Ellie in that little room and ends up giving her her gun back. It's really cool mix of a few moments from the game, but also just, as a standalone for the show. It's kind of not a role reversal, but he starts to give, not only acknowledge that he cares about Ellie, because all that stuff's been happening throughout the entire episode, but it's a moment where he starts to respect her as somebody who can kind of handle herself, or there might be, hey, there's a lot more depth to this kid than I thought, she knows a lot more about what life's about than I thought. And so that puts them on a little more equal footing to where he can like start to open up a little bit. So I really, and just the look on her face when she looks like such a kid when she gets the gun, like, ooh, and I could just, I thought that was cool. Steve, your number 1 moment.
My number 1 moment is when Joel and Ellie are, it's the last time that they're in the sleeping bags in the tall building, telling jokes with each other and just kind of enjoying being in each other's company. Mm-hmm. It's a very great scene because it's fun. You can see the walls breaking down with Joel and Ellie even more, but you see him actually turn towards her. He's had his back towards her for most of the time when they lay down. He's physically turning towards her, taking an interest in her life, even if she's not ready to talk about who her first kill was yet. So you get some really great acting between the two of them in this scene. There's like some serious conversations with who was your first kill, why can't you hear out of your ear, and then there's a diarrhea joke, which is my favorite little bit of acting in the whole episode, where you see Pedro Pascal like he perfectly plays the person who's like kind of disappointed in himself that he's finding this funny, and then just allowing like, okay, this is really funny, like that. I feel like that's a hard thing to genuinely convey, and it's perfectly conveyed. And
I love his laugh too, because it wasn't like a he was like like cracking up there, and I thought that was really sweet.
It's a schoolyard giggle, like haha, poop joke, right? Like we all have that silly little laugh for poop jokes.
It's how everyone feels listening to this show. Yeah. Like I think I'm losing it. I'm actually laughing to this.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Andy, your favorite moment of episode 4?
It's the Joel. Can I ask you a serious question? Why the Scarecrow won an award? The joke book is legendary, and I use 2 of the joke book jokes as the top 3, but both of them were outstanding, and just like the break of tension there, and I don't know, just the nostalgia that I had for the game in that moment was really affecting, and it was a wonderful, endearing moment for Ellie, and just I lit up when that scene happened.
That's basically my number 1 as well. when he guesses the joke and says, he's outstanding in his field. Has that little smirk because that's the first crack of when he's starting to even begin to open up to her, right? And it's the beginning of everything else that we get in this episode. But also the very next scene where he comforts her for the first time and then he's standing guard. I cry at the drop of a hat, and I was very fucking close in that moment with that score and him standing there. I wasn't quite there. It wasn't long enough.
Episode?
I did not. No cries to count.
No. What did we decide to name that impromptu segment?
I forget. Tears, baby.
Tears, baby. That's what it was.
Of course. But that brings our Fireflies segment to a close, which brings us to Bullets and Pills.
Baby.
Steve, start us off.
I think this is the most obvious and biggest one, but it's her joke book, right? Like that's such a big, important thing in the game that carries out through the entirety of it. Like literally, like the last level of The Last of Us, she's whipping that thing out and telling jokes, and it never is funny, or it's never not funny.
Yeah,
it's always a hoot,
and it never is funny.
It never works. No, it's much like this podcast. It never works. But yeah, her joke book, most obvious one.
Yeah. In Kansas City, I don't know if this counts for Pills, baby, but there's a movie theater that you see briefly in the marquee. Is it the Globe?
I think it's
the marquee has Matchstick Men and Underworld on it, both of which released in September of 2003, which I thought was a really good touch.
There are people who never saw Underworld.
Oh, there were 2003 movies on there, even though this one is 2013.
20 years later, it's 2023 now.
Well, the Outbreak was in 2003. Man.
The Outbreak was at the end of September 2003. So
they ain't making more movies after Underworld.
Yeah, that was the last movie of all time.
Oh, and in the game, it started in 2013 and went to 2033. And now that's right. I had it backwards. Okay, awesome.
I like to think of it, people saw the movie Underworld. They're like, hang it up, guys.
Well, it's like how my last
has been perfected.
Wrap this up.
My last movie was
Kate Beckinsale is perfection.
Something after Uncut Gems was the last thing. Something Bad was the last movie I saw for like a year and a half. So I get that feeling. Birds of Prey was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was my.
Shut your mouth.
I was meaning that was my last movie I saw before the pandemic.
Oh, was
shut
it?
Down. Yeah, it was Birds of Prey.
That's a good way to go out. That egg sandwich.
Honestly, it was. Oh, the egg sandwich scene was great.
The title of this episode is an Easter egg. Endure and Survive. I keep saying that until it has no meaning. Is a quote from the Savage Starlight comic books.
Yeah, good pull.
That's from Jimmy. He texted me that as soon as we started watching it.
Mm-hmm. Good pull, Jimmy.
Yeah, not gonna lie. And back to Steve.
Pretty much the whole truck scene plays out beat for beat, word for word.
And she finds the porno mag and stuff.
Mm-hmm. She finds a tape. They play the Hank Williams Sr. song.
Before My Time.
Before My Time. It's a banger though. All of those lines are like line for line from that scene in the game. Like they didn't change anything. And just real quick, a lot of people from after last week's episode were like, oh, they made Bill gay. He wasn't gay in the games. He was gay in the games.
Yes.
It's very subtle, and the porno mag is like the cherry on top of the proof that like that's Bill's.
Yes.
So to all of those bigots,
it wasn't even that subtle to me when I played it. I was like, super gay.
Oh yeah, it's not super subtle. But if you're like,
if you're really making any excuse,
he's a prepper. He's probably got a "Don't tread on me" flag on his truck.
Yeah, he don't step on snakes.
He don't step on no snakes. But yeah, I just want to throw some shade towards bigots.
Yeah,
no
he was
big deal.
Always a good time to do that. Andy.
This is a little one, but Joel has coffee in this. In the game, he did not. In the game, he bemoans that coffee used to be a thing and he misses it. And so it was kind of nice to get to see Joel sipping on some coffee. And he was like making a meal out of it.
Yeah. He had a whole thermos.
So it was, felt good.
That shit stays hot forever. I started stuttering because in one of my Easter eggs notes, I have the quote, "I'm not tired." And I have no idea why I wrote that as an Easter egg.
It was the smash cut where she's like, "I'm not tired." And then it smash cuts to her sleeping. That's also
directly from the game. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me use the rifle. I don't remember him getting that bolt action rifle in the show, but that's one of your main guns in the game. So I just feel like that's why that's there.
Okay. When they come across the tunnel that has all the cars piled up on it, this plays out very similar to the game. they add some stuff in the middle where they come across the car tunnel being blocked, and then Joel says, "Screw it," and they go around, and then they find the guy who's like, "Help!" That's directly from the game as well. However, in the game, it's in Pittsburgh, like we said, and not Kansas City.
Andy?
I called it out when it happened with Tess in the first episode, or the second episode, but Joel giving Ellie the leg up to get into the building.
Yeah.
It's the first time we got it between the two of them. In the games, you do that a ton. So it was fun to see the first one for them.
And this is kind of a weak one too, but in the very beginning when she's like doing the taxi driver thing in the bathroom, there was like a lot of dust and stuff flying through the light. I felt like it was supposed to be like imagery evocative of the spores again. Might be a stretch there, but I'm going with it. And I think I'm out.
I like it.
Steve?
I mean, the stuff we've already talked about, the Love gas station, Arby's, Chef Boyardee. There was a Doritos thing I saw.
Yeah, the vending machine.
Stuff like that.
I wonder if that's what the logo looked like in 2003.
The Doritos logo?
Yeah.
I don't know. I maybe it almost felt like it was older. Like that was an even older
It
Doritos
looked like an
logo.
old school one.
That was-
but, you know,
it could be, but-
we are old.
Well, yeah.
You know?
But you know how like even in 2003 they still had like all those Coke machines from like 95 still in
true.
circulation, you know?
Yeah.
So
I just want to see Cherry Coke at some point in this. You guys remember the Cherry Coke from like the late 90s, early 2000s?
it was like the purple
Yes.
and black like
Yeah,
madness.
dude, it was so
Made it look so
badass.
delicious.
Yeah.
Speaking of marketing that's just never leaving your brain and being broken completely inside and out by capitalism, when you said we are old, for some reason I went in my head, we are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Capitalism wins again.
Baby. That brings us to our wait, right? Are we done?
Yeah. And you didn't have any more,
done.
right?
I just wanted to make sure. I always do that. And you're like, oh, except for my other fucking Easter eggs. Because I always interrupt you. This is our outbreak performance. Steve, what is that?
Oh, Outbreak performance is similar to what you may have already heard of, breakout performances, but with a little pandemic
Zest.
bent on it.
Pandemic flair.
So this is our favorite performance of the episode. Steve, I think it's going to be a 3-way tie again, right?
Really?
Maybe not.
Maybe.
But look on your face.
Maybe.
Steve, who'd you
Go
pick?
ahead.
I'm not confident that you guys are picking mine.
Okay, then probably
I'm
not.
picking Pedro Pascal.
Oh, I did.
Okay, same. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Three-way tie.
Honestly, you don't have any confidence in Pedro?
Honestly, I was like, I could very easily give it to Bella Ramsey just for the Brian scene alone. But but like same, but Pedro's in that scene too, and he's doing just as good of a job. But then like just I mentioned earlier, like the whole breaking down of him giggling at the diarrhea
laugh at
joke
the
is
end,
like
yeah.
so well done, and like God, he's such a lovable dude. And this week he's been on a lot of like late night shows, hyping up.
Oh, yeah.
hyping up the
And
show.
he hosted SNL, and it was one of the best SNL episodes I've ever seen.
And they had the Mario Kart
Yes.
dystopian. It's
Have you
like,
seen any of that, Andy?
Yeah, one of you guys sent it.
was-
I only got to watch like half of it, but it was super funny.
What's your name? It's a me. But he's such a lovely dude. Did you see the story of like when he was like on the phone with Craig Mazin and he's like, man, I would really love the role. And he's like, well, let me get Neil Druckmann on in an hour or so. So then he's on the call with Neil Druckmann. He's like, oh man, I really hope I get the show. And he had to get up earlier the next day. So he took an Ambien to go to sleep. But before he could fall asleep, they called him back and were like, hey, we love you. You got the part. And he's like, oh, that's cool. But he was on Ambien. So he woke up the next morning like, man, I really hope I get that role. Like he didn't remember them giving it to him.
He
Plus,
started texting.
And he wasn't
Tweeting,
like
rather. Fuck, I fucked it up.
he wasn't
Roseanne joke.
he wasn't like adequately excited about it maybe either too. Like when they were like, you got the role, he was probably like, cool.
Sweet.
That's dope, man.
That's very cool.
Wasn't it Ambien that Roseanne was on when she went on her
I think she said-
tirade
yeah.
on
Yeah.
Twitter?
I think she
fucked
said
it
that.
up.
Deep cut,
It's a
man.
good
Deep
joke.
cut.
I lost it. Yeah.
Nobody would have got it anyway.
No, it's
What's
fine.
your outbreak before? Oh, you Pedro, right?
Yeah, we all had Pedro.
Any other-
the laugh and like just seeing the progression of him breaking down and opening up to Ellie throughout the episode was really affecting, and especially like his performance when he almost died, and then like the resignation that he had when he was like, I'm going to have to kill Brian. And I don't know, it was some of the best acting in this show so far has been nonverbal stuff, and his was out of this world. Super good.
It's crazy how many huge franchises Pedro is in now.
Mandalorian,
Star Wars, Game of Thrones,
this.
Last of Us, and then a bunch of big movies, but like core gigantic nerd kingdoms that he is at the heart of. And it's all at once. And seemingly couldn't happen to a better guy. I mean, he seems like such a genuine, fun, dude. Sweet person. Yeah.
I love that polygraph test he was on. They're like, "Are you a heartthrob?" And he's like, "No." And they're like, "He's lying." And he's like, "I do check out my own fan account."
Oh, when he talks about, do you Google yourself? Yeah, he's like, yes. And he's so embarrassed.
Makes me weak.
Yeah, it makes me weak. It's so good. But that brings our episode almost to a close. We're done talking about The Last of Us episode 4. Please look forward and check out our Yellow Jackets coverage on Wednesday. We have a possible surprise dropping on Friday for everybody.
It'll be really fun if it works out.
Yeah, but before then, I think Andy has something he wants to get off his chest.
Yeah, totally. So I am taking a step back from the show. Don't worry, I'm not gone forever. I just have been trying to deal with more of like a work-life balance and make some more time for myself and the changes that have been happening in my life. And the show, I feel like I've started to not honestly have the time for it in my life that I did previously. And so in order to help the show that I love and the community that I love continue to grow and continue to achieve the things that we set out for when the show was first started with you guys. And I feel like I need to take a step back so you guys can pursue those things. And I'm not like a detriment to it because we can't do it because of my schedule or whatever. So I'll still be around. I'll still come and be on some shows occasionally. I just won't be one of the regulars, at least for now. So yeah, this will be the last one for me for a little bit. That's not true. I'm going to be on on Friday. So you'll see me here again in a few days. But after that, it'll be here and there, at least for a while. And I love you both. And I'm really happy that we've gotten to do as much of this together as we have. And I'm excited to do more with you. Of course, I'll still be there when like Stranger Things is around. Of course, there's no way I'm going to miss that. But I will be taking a little bit more me time. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know about that.
And we're all of us here are like super about like mental health and doing what you need to do. And so like, if this is Andy, you need to do that to take care of yourself. Fully in support of it. If you ever need anything, we're always here for you.
For sure.
And that seat is always going to be there open for
my
you.
Chair.
Your butt has made an indention there.
My chair.
It's a legacy.
And if if this doesn't work out and you don't find your mental health getting better, then I can't stress enough that I encourage you to go to betterhelp.com/streaming.
That's a good one.
But seriously, I love you. I mean, obviously I love you. We've been best friends since 23 years now, or so, or at least on my end. I don't know how long you've liked me of those, but
5.
And we've been doing this show for 6 years.
Yes.
Minus 2, 9 to 12 month hiatuses because of other shit like this, where our lives kind of fell apart. And we did this show to about 60 to 120 listeners for 4.5 of those 6 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, now that the show, I feel more comfortable about it now that the show's doing well, and I know that it will continue to do well even without me here.
Yeah,
right?
I hope so.
We have people.
I hope so.
The people love you.
But at the same time,
will still be there.
Like Steve said, we just support you enough that even if the show, if everybody's like, if Andy's not here, I'm fucking out.
No.
And I'm wiping my ass with his Any Hoozle shirt.
No, well, those people are
hey, we got their money if they bought the shirt.
Those people are going to have to stick around for the shows.
That's not even enough to buy Arby's.
I occasionally am on because I will still be around.
Yes.
I'm just not going to be here all the time anymore.
We support you in your growth as a person. And obviously you guys have heard us whispering about stuff like this. We didn't know for sure what was going on. And we wanted, if it did come to this, we wanted Andy to be the one to say it.
Yeah.
So if you've noticed some weirdness, so Andy's still available in the Discord. He's still reachable online.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere there. You can still message him there.
He's trying to get tied down. He's trying to, make money moves and travel the world and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a lot going on, and I support you in all that. I want to be your friend for there.
Yeah,
I can't go to Jamaica with you, but
No, I'm
if you
excited.
need me to be your friend and go with you, I will.
No, that's cool, man. I'm pretty sure Sarah's going to go with me, so it's cool.
I mean,
and especially I love all of you guys. The constant emails, the phone calls when we've dealt with those, the Discord messages, the birthday presents, all the Christmas presents, all of it. The listeners are incredible,
Cookies.
and you guys have made it so great. And I feel like I'm saying this big goodbye, and it's not goodbye. It's just like see you in a while kind of thing instead.
See you down the road.
Yes, partner.
Until next time. Speaking of which, that's about all the time that we have. You can email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at streamthingpod. You can follow me on Instagram at moviesartherapy and Steve at
S_May05.
Andy doesn't have an Insta, but you can follow him on Twitter at Andy most days. You can
That is
also
me.
talk to him in the Discord if you ever get to that tier. Speaking of which, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/streamingthings. Subscribe at a variety of tiers. That's TIERS because we don't cry in there. I do.
Tears,
a lot.
baby.
And get different rewards and bonus episodes that drop monthly-ish. Sometimes what I mean by that is sometimes there's 2 or 3 in a month. We do other cool events and stuff as well. But until next time, I love you very much. That's all the time we have for right now. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things. Happy streaming. This month, we got some new patrons to thank. We are so thankful, so grateful to all of you who throw your hard-earned monies our way. Monies. We got the new Try Before You Deny producers, Jose Ruben Cruz Rodriguez and Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car. That is actually their Christian name.
I can't imagine does that fit on a library card?
Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car. Yes, because in a Barbie Car is put as a last name. So
Okay, what's the middle initial? I thought N was the middle initial.
No, you're
I thought
right.
it was like Rabbit Dog N.
I don't think in that part of the world wherein Rabbit Dog hails, there is a middle
They're on
name.
Mountain Time.
Yeah, yes, for sure. In the Marty B VIP producers category, we've added Node KS, Charlie Friday. That's not real. It might be. That's awesome. You were named after a secret agent, and I love it. Heather Joe, Sheila Huff. I'm so sorry in advance. I'm going to try my best. Niame McDyer and Micah Tybee. Micah Tybee?
I was reading that one before. And I
Ethan Gregory.
I got that one.
Casey McNatt, Nicole Herring, and Daisy JT. And in the chocolate pudding producers, we've added Meddler on the Roof, love it, Lane Crawford, Christiana Saya, Blaze King, Ellie Montiranta, Randy F., Carrie Gerard, Tyler Sowers, Cadet, Alyssa Anderson, Sabra Watkins, Jade Spade Marmalade, and Naris Martinez. And in the Friends Don't Lie producers, we've added Mike and Sheila. And I, again, apologize to anyone whose name I did not pronounce correctly. I did my best. My heart was in it.
I feel like you.
Mike's going to be like, it's McKay.
It could be. It could be. Thank you all so much. We love you.
Boing.